Sunday worship was established first in Babylon under Nimrod.
How do you know that? What's your original source?
Christmas. No way in the scriptures does it say celebrate Christ's birthday. Matter of fact, it tells you in the book of Luke that shepherds were abiding in the field during the birth of Christ, which means that there was Most High had a holy day called the Sabbath day. All right. So the Most High never told Israel or the people in the New Testament at any time to switch his Sabbath to Sunday.
What's the Lord's Day, sir?
I don't have any Listen, I can do it either way.
If you can demonstrate a direct connection between Babylonian mystery religions.
Okay. Here's a direct parallel, for you. Okay, number one, Sunday worship was established first in Babylon under Nimrod.
How do you know that? What's your original source?
My original source is the two Babylons and all the references that came out of that. And also
Alexander Hislop has been thoroughly discredited by every historian who's ever dealt with his material. It is utterly irrelevant. Let's try something. Let's try something meaningful.
He's been discredited by pagans, so I don't believe in
I'm not a pagan. I'm not a pagan. First of all, Hislop was not a Hebrew.
Listen,
and that's not original sources.
Oh, okay. Well, guess what? The references in the book points to ancient Babylonian worship, even outside of Alexander Hislop. It's known that Sunday worship was under Nimrod and Semiramis, and the Most High had a holy day called the Sabbath day. All right. So the Most High never told Israel or the people in the New Testament at any time to switch his Sabbath to Sunday.
What's the Lord's Day, sir?
Listen, that's number one. So you asked me to prove something.
I am.
Allow me to prove it, and whether you agree with it or not, you have the right to your opinion.
But all you've given me is Hislop.
Listen. I'm going to give you some more parallels. Another parallel is Christmas. No way in the scriptures does it say celebrate Christ's birthday. Matter of fact, it tells you in the book of Luke that shepherds were abiding in the field during the birth of Christ, which means that there was no way the shepherds were out during the time of winter during Christ's birth. So for them to ascribe a Babylonian day of Saturnalia of Rome and a Babylonian worship of the child Nimrod, the what you call virgin child of Babylon, they said that the goddess of star, which is Easter, was impregnated by a power or a god and bear the child the 25th. So all of these things are not in scriptures, but yet Christians ascribe these pagan holy days to Christ. So they are worshiping a new Christ. They're worshiping a satanic deity. And guess what? The majority of people are doing this in total ignorance.
Okay.
We don't fault them.
Okay.
That's why the truth is here, so that now that they can make a conscious decision to do what's right to defend the true faith of Christ.
Okay, so far, I have not heard a single original source. I've heard a lot of assertions, but I've not heard any original sources. For example, if I were to ask you what Kuriake Hemera means in Revelation chapter 1, which means the Lord's Day, and then go into the earliest sources of Christianity, which would be works such as the Didache. Have you ever read the Didache, sir?
No.
Okay. If you were to go into and when I talk about doing history as one who teaches history, when I talk about original sources, Hislop is not an original source. That is, as at best, a secondary source.
For you.
But for all historians, an original source.
For the historians that agree with you.
No, sir.
Yeah.
An original source would be one that would take us to the individual. So in other words, if you're going to make claims about Babylon, then it's going to need to be a Babylonian ancient source. Those were original sources. And then later works describe these things are called secondary sources. This isn't an issue of argument. This is simple how you do history. If you don't do it this way, you're not doing history.
Okay, according to you. So
by any rational means, by any rational definition, anywhere.
Listen. I'm not here to philosophically argue with you about history. Okay.
Okay. Well,
Christ. Let me make this clear.
No, wait a minute.
Christ did not deal with Sunday worship. Neither did the disciples.
Okay. All right. That's your assertion. I say to you, the book of Revelation says John was in the Spirit on the Kuriake Hemera, the Lord's Day, which without question is Sunday. That had nothing to do with Babylonians. It had nothing to do with imitating worship of anybody else. It was the day that the historical evidence demonstrates believing Christians met for worship in recognition of the resurrection of the Son of God on the first day of the week. It has nothing to...
Listen, that's a lie.
Okay, if you say it's going to lie, document it.
That's a lie that came from the Council of Nicaea.
Document it.
And we're not dealing with it.
Document it. Show me from the proceedings of the Council of Nicaea where that came from.
Listen, this is what I'm going to document. The Exodus, where it says, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy, in Exodus 20 and 8. And also, listen, so nowhere did the Most High Lord's Day change to the first day of the week.
My friend.
So listen, you are good at arguing points, but you're not good at the Bible.
Okay, sir. One of us has been dealing with the text. You just said that what I said was a lie, and when I asked you to document it, you're not giving me documentation to demonstrate that what I said historically was a lie. If you're going to call it you can say I disagree.
Listen.
But if you're going to call it a lie...
James, the reason why I'm going to call it a lie, because that's what it is. In the Bible, it tells us about the Sabbath to remember it so that the Gentiles won't have us forget it. Okay? All through the Bible, Christ was dealing on the Sabbath. Even Paul, on the Sabbath day, when the Jews did no longer listen to him, he went the next Sabbath to teach the Gentiles. So the Gentiles were learning on a Sabbath after Christ already died and was resurrected. So these are the sources, the Bible. I'm not here to argue every book you done read. I'm not being tossed to and fro in different winds of doctrine, of history.
Okay?
The wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High.
I'm just going to have to ask you, are you able to chill out enough that we can proceed with the other questions? Or because right now you seem to be dominating and getting a little bit on the angry side. Are you going to be able to chill out enough for the last question?
Brother, let me make this clear, though. Okay, with this angry thing. See, also, I can understand the, let me tell you, you're really slick. Because you do it a different way.
That is a very disrespectful thing. Maybe you don't mean it disrespectfully, but it sounds like you're saying that I'm being deceptive or something like that. Sir,
Absolutely.
I've done
That's
over.
What I'm saying.
Oh, you are saying that? Okay, I've done over 150 moderated debates around the world.
Okay.
This is not the first false teaching that I have encountered. I've heard every one of these objections. I teach Greek and Hebrew. I teach church history, and I can tell that what you're saying you believe wholeheartedly, but you are wholeheartedly wrong. And you can't back these things up, and that's why you keep saying, well, I'm not going to go there, I'm not going to go there. You stay with what's comfortable. For example, I could challenge you on the Apocrypha, and I could demonstrate that the Jews, the Hebrews, never accepted those books of Scripture. That's another issue. We could go into it. I've done multi-hour-long debates on that subject at places like Boston College. So the point is, sir, if we want to get to the last questions, I'm just going to have to ask you, are you going to be able to do that without being insulting or things like that? Can we do that? Because I think it would be helpful to people watching. I'm watching people who are commenting, and they're finding this useful. So I'm just hoping that we can turn the temperature down a little bit so that we can actually get to the issue. Is that going to work?
That'll work. And you know what, James? I apologize if I offended you, but I'm going to say this. You know what? Let's just go forward.
Okay. All right.
I apologize.
All right. The number 4 question on the thing here was the